Welcome to What's Going On, the weekly podcast and videocast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of What's Going On. I'm Pastor Katie here at First United Methodist in Yankton, South Dakota. I'm glad you could join me for this episode. We have a lot happening in the month of May, so I want to just, again, briefly touch on some of the events that are coming up. And then we're going to take a little bit of a deep dive today and talk about confirmation, since that is happening this Sunday. So before I dive into that, let me just do a quick rundown of some of the things that are happening in the life of the church. And so when we look ahead into May, we will be wrapping up youth group on Wednesday, May 6th, and that will also wrap up Tiffany Bestie's time as our youth leader. She has been such a wonderful staff person in the church over my time. Her roles have changed a lot in my time here at the church, and I've been grateful for her in every one of the roles that she's been in. And so I'm so sad to see her go, but know that it's the right next step for her in her own life. And so we are grateful to her for all that she has done to love the children and youth of our church. Before that, however, on Monday, the United Women in Faith will be having their May monthly meeting, and they have a speaker coming in, Dr. Mary Bourne, I believe. And so that's at 1:30 up in the lounge, and that's a great time of fellowship. They always have snacks and things, so it's wonderful opportunity to go and share and fellowship with them. So that one's on Monday. And then Tuesday, we've started our final Tuesday lunch study series, but you can still come on in. We are talking about the parables, and we had such a fantastic conversation this last week, and I really do love that group, and I love getting to welcome more people into it all the time. So I hope that if it works for you, I know that timing doesn't work for everybody, but if that works for you, I'd love to have you come and be a part of that and join in on the deep and challenging and wonderful conversations that we have. So again, that brings us back to Wednesday. That will be the final night of youth group for this school season. And then it's kind of not settled yet who's going to be taking that on moving forward. SPRC and leadership team have kind of decided the best thing to do will be to wait until Pastor Valerie can be a part of those conversations and part of recruitment. But if it's on your heart that maybe you are the right person, it doesn't hurt to let them know. So that would be Michael Pietola, Tammy Downs, or Jeanette Schaefer. In particular, those are the ones that deal with staffing. I got my start in ministry, in youth ministry, and there is something really special about that group and that age and that time in a person's life. And it's a really wonderful thing. So I hope that you consider that. Looking forward, we will be doing a leadership team meeting on Wednesday, May 13th. That will also be the final night of 605 for the school year. So, and then there's also men's night out that night as well. If you're interested in attending men's night out, please let Dave Corneman know. They are doing food and stuff, so they just want to make sure they have enough food for everybody. A leadership team will be here at the church at 6:30. You are invited to come. If you have questions, comments, want to just hear what's going on firsthand, you're welcome to do so. There's only one part of the meeting that you will be asked to step out for, and that's staffing related things, and that's an HR deal. It's confidential, but otherwise you are welcome to come to those. And they usually meet upstairs in the room that I do confirmation and adult studies and things in. So that is happening on the 13th as well. Looking ahead on the 24th, which is a Sunday in May, that'll be Pentecost, so you'll be invited to wear red. Also, that'll be the day that we are rescheduling our garden blessing for. Hopefully we have nicer weather. This past Sunday, it was cold and muddy, And I just really didn't think we'd have a very good turnout, and I would rather people show up for that. We've also decided we're going to partner our bucket blessing mission offering for the garden. Normally we would do that on May 31st, but we're going to be out at Memorial Park on May 31st doing our vacation Bible school worship. So we're going to push our fifth Sunday bucket offering to the fourth Sunday on the 24th. We're going to have it go to supplement the costs of having the gardens, planting, watering, all of that stuff. And then have you come out and be part of the garden blessing. And I think that'll be really wonderful. So, God, if you're hearing, let's have really nice weather on May 24th. Uh, and keep in mind, wear red that day because it is also Pentecost. All right. Then that following week is Vacation Bible School. The Vacation Bible School will be here at our church, but the worship on the 31st will be at Memorial Park. And we are sharing Vacation Bible School with Trinity Lutheran and Yankton UCC again, as we have for the last few years. And so we're really excited about that. And the theme is Illumination Station. Backyard Kids Club. And the theme verse is John 8:12, shining a light on who Jesus really is. I'm going to be doing the Bible study parts to Vacation Bible School. I love getting to be involved with that. And so hopefully you get your kids signed up. There are QR codes on the screen. If you're in worship, you can talk with Brooklyn, and I believe they'll probably have something to hand out before the end of 6:05 as well. Let's see. That is bringing us to the end of May. Oh, there's also Women's Night Out happening in May, May 21st. That's a Thursday night. Will be a joint Women's Night Out and 605 Volunteer Appreciation. That's going to be at Merlin Gina Brandt's house over on Deer Boulevard. And that's going to be a taco potluck. And so Gina just asked that you RSVP to let her know, and she's going to provide the meat, but everyone gets to bring like a topping or a dessert. So just let her know what you want to bring. And that will be a really fun night. So hopefully you can get that on your calendar as well. And then just peek into June. The first Sunday in June will be I will be at annual conference. It's in Bismarck this year. One thing I will tell you, we will not live stream the full service as we did last year. What we learned is that's too much. And so we are looking at some ways of doing worship here a bit creatively. One thing that I will say is we're going to move communion from the first Sunday to the second Sunday. So we will not be doing communion the first Sunday in June, but we will do it on the 14th. And the reason for that is because you need to be ordained or at least have a license for ministry in order to preside over communion. And all the people who have that will be at annual conference. So that is one thing we're looking at. But just know that it will be a worship time that is within the bounds of our normal worship time. I can guarantee that. Oh, I will say also, we're going to put a hiatus on the Living Light worship service. We'll go through Pentecost for Living Light, and then it'll take a hiatus because I can't in June cover all of that as I'm in and out. And so and then that will be up to leadership team and Pastor Valerie how that will come back, if that will come back, what that will look like. But I've been really grateful. That's actually been such a gift to me to have that service this spring. It's been a time where I really get to be in God's presence in a different way because there's less of the service that is dependent on me. And so I've been really grateful for it. But I just want to give you that heads up. It'll go through May 24th, and then we will put it on hiatus and allow leadership team and Pastor Valerie to discern again if, when, how that will come back. June 14th will be my final worship with you. And there will be a potluck that day as a part of kind of a farewell thing. And so I hope that if you are able, you will come to worship that day and stay for the potluck. But it's coming. It's coming quicker than I could imagine. So I just want to put that out there. And then the following couple of weeks, there will be some pulpit supply in before Pastor Valerie begins her tenure here. So anyway, those are some of the things that are happening in the life of the church. Um, but let's talk about this Sunday. This Sunday, one of the big pieces is that it's Confirmation Sunday, and I look forward to Confirmation Sunday. It is such a exciting time. And we are confirming 3 students this year. We are confirming Trevor Gaziski, Gabe Slowey, and Alexandra Stowe. So I want to talk a little bit about what confirmation is, and then what these students have experienced and gone through in their time, because confirmation changes. It's really so let's start with what it is. Confirmation is another way that we can talk about it is affirmation of baptism. So in the United Methodist Church, a person at any age can be baptized. We only baptize once. We never re-baptize people unless they were not baptized in a tradition that recognizes the Trinity. So an example of that is if you grew up Mormon, that is a tradition that we would baptize you into our church. But otherwise, if you grew up Catholic, I grew up Lutheran, if you grew up we recognize those baptisms. We recognize that God was in that baptism. And so you do not need to be baptized again to be part of our church. We honored the baptism that has happened. But I will say, if you were baptized as an infant, as a child, oftentimes we can't speak for ourselves. We don't understand what's happening. And so in the baptisms, our parents, our sponsors make vows on our behalf, right? To raise us up in the faith, to teach us about God and God's love for us, and to open the scriptures to us and to model a life of faith. Those are the vows that you would hear in a baptism where we're baptizing an infant or a young child. Um, and so there's inherent in those vows an understanding that something else is coming. There has to come a time where that person who was baptized at the behest of somebody else, at the choice of their parents, their sponsors, whoever, um, has to take that on for themselves. So if you were baptized as an adult, the understanding is that you knew what you were getting into. You had an understanding of what this meant, and then were baptized after that. And so there is no need for something secondary. But with infant baptism, in particular, we have an understanding that at some point, we're going to give you the opportunity to publicly make these vows for yourself. And it's not a rebaptism. In confirmation, what we say is remember your baptism. And there's been multiple times in confirmation services where I've had a student or two who were not baptized. And so as the other students are remembering their baptism, these students would be actually being baptized for the first time or for the only time, right? Because we only do it once. And so the confirmation program is designed for students to dig deep and understand Christianity as a religion, as a faith system, to understand who Jesus is, who God is, to ask deep questions, to wrestle with what it means to be a Christian, and also what it means to be part of the life of the church. Because we do not live out our faith individually, we live out our faith communally as part of the church. We live out what it means to be a disciple of Jesus with other people, and we invest into the kingdom of God with other people. And so confirmation kind of has those dual prongs. One, the understanding of what God has done for us and what we choose to do for God, and the how do we live this out in the community of the church, and what are the expectations around church membership and around living in a community of faith. And so how confirmation looks varies from church to church, pastor to pastor. It is up to the clergy of the church to determine how to best prepare people in the church. There's not one standard curriculum, not one standard guidelines for like, you have to do it in this way. And so that's why we see it kind of fluctuate as different clergy come and go based on one, their own giftings, their own understanding, their own journeys. and also what they have in front of them. So confirmation ebbs and flows and changes and adapts over time. And so I've in my course of ministry, both when I was a youth pastor and now as a clergy person, ordained clergy person, I've used different curriculum over the years. I've written my own curriculum at one point that was clearly before I had children. Um, and over time, I've built and tweaked and um, adapted different things to confirmation. So for the last few years, I've been using the Confirmed curriculum, which comes out of our United Methodist publishing. It is very United Methodist in our teaching, in our theology. It is getting to be a little bit, the videos are kind of like, I think that's always going to be the case, but I still really like them. One of the things I really like is they did a lot of videos of a person drawing on a whiteboard as they're talking, and for whatever reason, that just really works for me. So, um, but I did that full curriculum with the first class I came here during 2020, 2021 COVID times. We had less than a year. We were doing multiple lessons in a night. It was crazy fast paced. They did not get time to really digest a whole lot. It was just like throwing information at them constantly and being like, if you have questions, let me know. Luckily, that was a very engaged group. And but if I could, I would have liked to have spent more time with them. But that was really based on a lot of, things out of our control. Then we moved to a year because, again, feeling we need more time to cover these topics to allow things for there to be conversation and things. So we moved to a year. And then, even in that, realizing we want to build this out a little bit more and make sure that we're really covering and really allowing the students to have time and ability to process, to discuss, to participate, and to include some other pieces, because our faith isn't just here. It is about, again, that living together. And so we prioritized relationship through having confirmation mentors. We prioritize service. So the kids helped with the trunk or treat as part of confirmation, that they would participate in that and make that part of that event. We also added in confirmation projects based on the church membership vows of prayers, presence, service, witness, and gifts. So the students had to pick one area and really find a way to uh, give back to the church, give back to God through the church. So over the years, we've had different projects. The photo backdrop that you see right before you head into our education wing was a confirmation project. We've had some students who really got into service, so helping with our loads of love, helping with we had a student this year who's been working around the church, cleaning up the church yard and doing some of that landscaping work, and kind of discovering a love for that and a love for, oh, I can combine like the thing I maybe want to do with my life with service to God. Like that's really cool. Um, I had a student one year who helped with Sleep in Heavenly Peace, the bed build. So we have students that go that route. We have students that go the route of, I had one last year who did prayer boards in both the confirmation room and the youth room to encourage prayer in our youth. And so that was really cool. One made t-shirts for the youth group and sold them. We've had a few who've done some artwork for us. We've had some that have shared their gifts of music. And so we've had a lot of different things, but it's again trying to encourage them of like, what has God given you and how are you going to plug in? Where are you going to find your place? Because our faith, again, isn't just about us and God, it's about the community together. And so that's been really cool. But adding those things in made it so that we did a 2-year program to finish all of the curriculum and have time. We also make students memorize some scripture, because I think that's really important to have scripture on your heart. And so we did mentor nights, which allowed them to either work on their memory work and be really in scripture, or for the second year students to work on those projects. So again, building in that time into our time, because our kids are busy and they just couldn't get it done any other way. So that's kind of how it evolved for me here in Yankton. This year has been really different because I've only had three students. And so I've had to take all the lessons and sort of gear it toward who I had. Again, you do a lesson differently for 12 than you do for three. And so it's been really fun this year to kind of really tailor it to the three that I had. I found out this year that the mentors were extremely invested and really excited. We had some new mentors this year who had never done it before. And I think they enjoyed it as much as the students did and got a lot out of it. And I think that's something that I would encourage you that if you ever get tapped to be a confirmation mentor, jump at that chance because not only do you get to invest in the life of a young person and help them in their faith journey, but what I have heard and what I guess and experience is that it grows your own faith as well. And a lot of people, maybe they didn't go through confirmation or they didn't go through confirmation in the Methodist church, or it's been 60 years. And so they don't remember a lot of that stuff. So it's a nice refresher as well. Also, I really love it. For me, this is the first church that I've served where I wasn't the youth leader as well. So I've always had youth as part of my ministry. And so confirmation became super important to me while I was here because I already had a capable youth leader in Tiffany. And it was really important to let her have that. And I mean, because one, she will do a better job than me. And I didn't have it on my I didn't have room in my plate for that. But confirmation became really important because it was the time that I had with the students and it allowed me to get to know them. And again, I think it's important the more people we can introduce into a student's life who can support them in their faith journey, who can become a safe person for them, the better. So, again, another reason that if we have a youth person, I think it's great because it's more people that they have to turn to. Um, but it was really important to me to have that time. And I love working with youth. I love the conversations. I love the silliness, but I also love that they can go really deep and ask really good questions. And they are the ones that have given me a lot of good feedback on how to make the program better and better each year. I know with Pastor Valerie coming in that she has strong background in confirmation as well. And she actually leads one of the confirmation camps uh, through the conference. And so she has a lot of giftings, a lot of experience, and it's a joy for me to be able to hand off confirmation to her and her capable hands. One thing that we have this year is that uh, I'm confirming all three kids that I had this year, so it's a clean break. So when she comes in the fall, for whoever is coming and however she wants to set that up, she doesn't have any kind of, here's a kid left who did half their time with Pastor Katie and half with Pastor Valerie. She's gonna get to start with a fresh set of students, and so I'm excited for that. But these students have been through a lot. They've done an incredible amount of soul searching, incredible amount of digging deep. Um, they asked incredible questions. It's just been such a joy. I have looked forward to Wednesday nights my entire time here because of confirmation, because of the opportunities that I've had to get to be with these students and to get to do what I do and to witness to their faith. And honestly, I've borrowed, not stolen. I told them about it. So they have gifted me, maybe is maybe a better way to put it. Some of the ways that they've talked about things. And this year in particular, one of them was we were talking about the Trinity and they were encouraged to try to find a way to talk about it or to draw it or to explain it. And one of the students drew the Trinity as an ice cream sundae. And it's like, it's all ice cream, but there's different flavors of ice cream. And they're all essentially ice cream, but they're all distinct because they have these different flavors. And I was like, I've never thought about it like that. And that's a useful thing because, again, inherently, they're all the same, but they are distinctive. They make up one ice cream sundae, but they are all ice cream, but they all have their own flavor. And if that's not the Trinity, I mean, every metaphor for the Trinity breaks down at some point, but that's a pretty good one. And so I was like, I'm taking that. Thank you. That is awesome. So again, I get a lot out of it as well. And so it is such a joy for me to be able to confirm these students. So again, when they come for confirmation, what they are doing and what you will hear is they will be, I will be giving them the same vows that are the vows at baptism and asking, do you believe this? Do you want to be a part of this? Up until this point, their faith has been in the hands of whoever had made those vows previously, and they were responsible for making sure that their faith was growing and vibrant. At this point, the students take that responsibility on for themselves. No, this is my faith. I'm not going to church because my parents go to church. I'm not becoming a Christian because that's what my parents are. I'm doing it because it is what I believe and it's what I want. And I want to give my life over to God. And so we will have them remember their baptism. And I like to do it in a very memorable way because most of the students were baptized as infants, so they do not have a memory of it. And so I want them to remember their reaffirmation of baptism. And so if you've been to one of my confirmations before, you know that I like to dump water on their heads. I did not come up with this. I borrowed this from another pastor, Reverend Andy Bartell, who serves up in Alaska now. But I loved it. I loved that idea of something memorable. And then we pray over them as a sign of, again, blessing this journey of faith, recognizing that they've been on the journey the whole time, but that there's something significant and special about taking this mantle on for themselves. And then I invite the students as one of their first acts of being confirmed and being a part of the church, because this is also the time where they will join the church as full members on their own, that they will help me serve communion on Sunday. And so that's a really special thing as well. And I'm really grateful to have these students to do that. And then so I hope that you come. And one of the things that we did this year toward the end is we made affirmation bags for our students. And the mentors and the students wrote to each other and affirmed one another. And if you would like to write a little note or a card, we're going to have those bags on the tables in the lounge Sunday morning prior to worship. And then you can add your cards, your notes of affirmation to those bags prior to giving them. We also did it for the mentors as well, because we want to affirm any adult who is willing to give of their time, of their, energy, their attention, their focus to these students. So we want to affirm that as well. So you can also put affirmations in for the adults as well. And then that will be part of their gift for confirmation. And we will be celebrating them during the fellowship time. But I hope that clears things up a little bit as far as what confirmation is, what we have gone through, and then what it could be in the future. But it has been one of my greatest joys in ministry here is to do confirmation. And I'm a little sad that we're at this point. But I'm also so excited. These students have blown my mind. They really are truly wonderful. I've said it many times that Yankton has been blessed with incredible youth and young people. And I think that's been true throughout its tenure as a church. Some of the best clergy we've had and have in our conference has come out of this church, and you are getting one of them back. What a blessing that is. But there's something truly special about the way this church loves and supports its youth. And I hope that that is an encouragement for you to continue to do that moving forward. So until next time, I hope that I see you on Sunday in worship as you support and love these kids. But until next time, God bless. Thank you for joining us for this episode of What's Going On, a video and audio podcast of First United Methodist Church in Yankton, South Dakota. We'd love to have you join us for worship on Sundays at 10 a.m., either in person or via our live stream, which can be found at our website, www.firstumcyankton.org, or by searching First UMC Yankton on YouTube.